Hi folks, Outlaw Shaver here, and today I got a few things to cover. Um, in my last episodes, I addressed being able to get a good lather with minimal amount of soap in a face lather. And as most of you know, I'm pretty much a bowl lathering freak, so uh, that was something though that I wanted to address because of a few people had some apprehensions about being able to get a good lather on the face, out of the puck or, because of the size of the puck. Um, it really doesn't matter too much on that to me, but here's one thing I will show you as to why I have chosen, for the most part, not to face lather, and that is this. And I start getting these little blemishes on my face, irritations, things like that. And for like an entire week, I was doing some face lathering, um, which actually was probably about 3 or 4 shaves. So um, that is the only difference that I did in my routine to bring something like this. And usually I don't get that. Anyway, in the past, face lathering to me has been uh, some bit of irritation, so that was why I went with the bowl to begin with. So now we're back to the bowl. Excuse me, I'm a little choked up today, but as Spencer Frankel had requested, for me just to go ahead and kind of complete the series with a bowl lathering, and so that's what I'm going to do today. I am going to do both a head shave and a face shave with a straight razor, and so I'm going to actually be mixing enough for both a head shave and a face shave. We're going to go ahead and revisit an old favorite, and that would be Laramie. And the scents on this is lavender and bergamot. To me, it's a very barbershop scent. It really is. It's not nothing like George's barbershop or maybe some of the barbershops but to me this is an old time barbershop because that is two of the scent ingredients that they used very widely in most cologne barbershop type scents. The two of them together is almost like the perfect combination to me. But so anyway, that's one of the scents that I developed early on. And for the amount that I'm going to put in the bowl for this size of a shave, head and face, will probably be about this much. It's going to be about double normally what I would use for just a face shave or just a head shave alone. And what I'll do, I just take and smash this stuff into the bowl. Now, what's important, what I have found out works the best, is use a dry bowl. If it's not dry, wipe it out. Go ahead and get it smeared in. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing there, but basically I just try to get it smeared in the best that I can in just a thin coating. Or basically the way I look at it is the soap needs to be anchored to the bowl to get the best performance when you're lathering up. You don't want to put it in a wet bowl because then it's separated. It doesn't want to stick down, and then what you're dealing with is little pieces of soap flopping around in there. Anyway, I'm sure you get the idea. So today what I'm going to be using for a brush, simply a 22 millimeter, and this would be the same as somebody might call a boss knot or a game changer. It is a black synthetic Maggard style knot. So I'll just wet that up real quick and get started on the lather. Now what I do with this amount of soap, I don't even shake it out. I just let the brush hold as much water as it possibly can. And this is how I start. And get started churning it up. And within a few seconds, this is at the point where the soap is pretty much all removed from the bowl and dissolved. It's a somewhat thin lather, lots of bubbles, as you can see, but it's exploded. Now, what I do, I usually use a little bit of pressure pushing down into the bottom of the bowl and use a circular motion, and sometimes reverse it. It's going to be starting to crawl up the outsides. So then what I do, I'll take and push it down off the outsides, kind of get it blended back into itself, and then start the process again. Now, this is not just a circular motion, but it's almost like a pumping motion. So you're moving into it and turning it at the same time. Now, you can see a lather here. It's even got peaks. This is still not where I want to get it to. I mean, you can get it more creamy than this. You can see the larger bubbles in it still, even though it's developed peaks and has become somewhat solidified. Well, let's give it just a little more time. Just a pumping circular action. I wished I had an overhead camera here to be able to show you and still keep the soap in the bowl, but okay, here's another interval. We're almost there. And if you don't want to get it on your fingers, use a longer brush handle. I think we've got plenty of lather there to do everything that we need to. It's about the right consistency to me for a straight razor shave, which I'm going to do. I allowed my hair to grow out a little bit longer here this time so you can actually see a visual result. So let's go ahead and get started. And as you saw, you know, I had quite a bit of water in the brush there. I mean, it was completely full. I didn't shake it out. Just whatever it would hold in by resistance to gravity. And yet, I think I'm still going to add just a tiny bit more water to this to get it where I want it for a straight razor shave, not sticking to the razor. And that should be good for now. I probably even mixed way too much soap, you know. I guess we'll see by the time we get there. And the razor I'm using. An F.W. Ingalls, made in Germany. It's what they call FWE Special. And I've come to enjoy this razor. It has quite a loud feedback, but that's because the blade in it is it's almost like a full hollow grind. Very thin, very sharp. Let's go ahead and get started. Wet the razor a little bit. As you can see, the hair is just flying off of there. Now I know that there's a little bit of apprehension by some of you about even attempting to shave your head with a straight razor. I can understand that. It's a nerve-wracking thing when you first start off. But understanding, if you just, you know, if here's how you start off. You know, if you can keep your blade flat to your head as much as possible, and then just maybe lift up a little bit, and you get pretty good results. You know, not try to take it at too steep of an angle. And with this much hair growth, I mean, I didn't get into it with an electric razor, so you know, you're going to deal with a little bit more resistance on it, maybe a little more friction or binding, but it sure beats filling up a double-edged razor again and again and again and having to wash it out. So if you can bring yourself to learning, and I'm not even saying mastering, but learning how to shave with a straight razor on the head, it will save you time, and I think you will enjoy the results. The first pass for me, when I let it grow this much, is always the most challenging, I should say. And it's just because of the hair length creates just a little bit of binding to the blade. Kind of like dragging something through wet carpet, maybe. The back of the head is definitely the most challenging. Early on, I pretty much gave up on trying to use a mirror to see, because you're always looking at everything backward. You'll confuse your hands with the movements because of it. So basically, I think if you learn the feel of what the right kind of cut is, you shoot for what it feels like rather than what it looks like you're doing with your hand. It's the same way. You're going to feel the same. That's how you're adjusting your angle on the blade, even when you're shaving your face or right out in front of you. You're going off of the feel. So what I showed you about an angle, that's a good place to start, but take it with a grain of salt. You're looking for the feel, because you may have a narrower blade, you may have a wider blade, and each blade, depending on the width, the type of grind, how thin the blade is, that will make quite a difference on what the pitch of angle is when you're holding it steady to go around, especially around a spherical type surface. Go by feel. Pay attention to the feel, not even worry about what it looks like up front. We'll go ahead and get just a little bit of this first. And no, I don't have any soap on there, but it's still slick, so that's what counts. All right, we still got this much lather left and this on the brush, so let's go ahead and get up for a second pass on the head. And I'm going to add just a tiny bit of water. Now it's got that shine that I like. And you get started again. Second pass. Basically, I'm just still doing the same moves that I was doing on the first pass, picking up what didn't get mowed down the first time. On shaving my head, I never really worry about whether I'm going against the grain, across the grain, or with the grain, because I don't know, I just don't feel like it matters. I think what is safest is to go with the grain, but what ends up working out in the end is whatever allows you to hold your razor in its most effective position and feel comfortable with it, feel confident with it, that you're not going to be diving into your skin with it. And you know, right here, the way I'm doing this is kind of like with the grain, across the grain a little bit on the sides of my head. Now when I'm going this way, my hair grows down this way, so now I'm going with the grain here. If I were to try to go this way with it, I don't like it. I don't like the feel of it. So if I really think that I've got to get a baby butt smooth shave on my head, then usually what I'll end up doing, if I really have to go against the grain on it, then I will break out the double edge razor afterwards. In fact, I could have even done the double edge right now, you know, and not have the clogging problems, and just use the straight razor as a lawnmower to get most of it out of the way. Like I said, it's all feel. You can probably even see better what I'm doing than I can, at least from the camera angle and the way that I have my head turned. Let's try that again. And don't be afraid to try out different ways of holding the razor. I know some people probably have just a bit more convenience and opportunity at ambidextrous shaving than I do. It's probably not that I couldn't learn it, but as I've explained in the past, my left hand tends to have some involuntary tremors because of some nerve damage due to orbital tunnel and carpal tunnel over the years. So I just don't trust it. I don't take the chance. This hand is more steady, so I've learned to get around it and try to find my angles with using one hand. Okay, I think we're going to go for a final pass on the head. It does I don't really need all that much lather. It's just basically to give that slickness. That's what I'm looking for at this point. Now what I'm going to do here, just for fun, I'm going to go the other way. And yes, this is a side grain across the grain. But it just gives it another pattern from what I've already been doing going this way. Is it critical to do that? No. I really think that even going with the grain with a straight razor, you can get an acceptable head shave even with just a couple passes. Basically what we're doing here is just picking up or cleaning up the things that got missed. I'm going a little more cross grain around the side or around the back as opposed to with the grain before. And now here we'll start going just against the grain a little bit to show you that it can be done. but usually I don't even bother with this. I might go more across like this if I want to get it just a little closer. Right now that's pretty good. It's pretty close on my head. It's at least it's what I call socially acceptable. Cleaning up the little details. This is the most difficult spot, folks, for the straight razor, is working around your ears. If you just take your time, don't get in a hurry, don't get nervous. Small moves. And you know, just because you see me doing this more quickly doesn't mean that's what you have to try to do. You know, the objective is to get as long of a smooth stroke as you can, but if you got to take shorter strokes, take shorter strokes. Don't worry about, let's just say, don't worry about your public image. Do what works for you. Do what works for you, not for somebody else, not what somebody else tells you that you ought to do or thinks is more manly. Because I've seen a lot of situations where someone will scoff at what they think someone is doing, and then come to find out they can't even do it themselves. You know, we do have a lot of still armchair warriors in the even in the shaving industry. So there you go. I'm good on the head, feels like. And now I'm going to go ahead and get started with the face. Here is what's still remaining on the lather, more than plenty. I'm going to go ahead and churn it just a little bit more in the bowl. Just to show you the kind of consistency that you can get with a bowl lathering. I didn't worry about this so much with the head and the straight razor because, after all, I'm more concerned with slickness on that. So here we go. And plenty on the face. You know, I'm not trying to advocate against face lathering. I'm just trying to explain the reasons that I don't do it very often, and that is because scrubbing the brush into my skin pores brings about that kind of stuff there. If it doesn't do that to you, then get after it. You know, do what makes you feel good, makes your skin feel good. So go ahead and get started here. It's a little bit humid today. Been having a lot of rain this week. And then the sun pops out. Gives us that awesome sauna. I imagine this video is getting long by now, or at least it is to me. Let's go ahead and rinse that a bit. Still plenty of lather in there. And I guess you saw what I used is probably too much. But I'm not worried too much about wasting it or anything. I mean, I'm not running out of soap right at the moment. And because I've irritated my face all this week, I'm pretty much just going to do a two-pass shave, or at least no more than across the grain. Yes, this razor really sounds off. And I think I got a pretty good shave there. Not BBS, but definitely far enough for letting my face heal back up. and we still have plenty left over. I probably could have got away with half of that, you know, maybe the size of an almond. Let's go ahead and get that washed out. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed that. I don't know if that showed you anything different about bowl lathering. The only thing that I have not seen very many people mention, that I just would like to bring up again, the importance of it, is start with a dry bowl when you put your soap into it, when you smash your soap into it, because that will attach it. It'll keep little pieces from coming up. And I can see that I need just a little more work right in there after getting the soap washed away. There we go. We're going to finish this off with some Osage rub. And I'm telling you what, this stuff is the rub. But it is so nice. What a burn. And then it just gives a nice cooling effect. I'm all for it. Well, thanks folks for joining me. I don't know what to title this, whether it's just you know, a straight razor shave, a head shave, a face shave, or how to bowl lather. I may just call it my method of bowl lathering. Hope you learned something. If you didn't, hope you enjoyed it at least. You all have a good day.